All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what, of course, is happening at this moment in the Gaza Strip, we're being joined by Professor Scott Lucas. He's joining us live from Birmingham. Professor Lucas is a professor of international politics at the University College in Dublin. Professor Lucas, this is information which has, of course, come in this evening that 4 of the Israeli hostages who were held in the Gaza Strip have reportedly been rescued. Now, a lot of people are asking the tactics that have been employed by Netanyahu in this war. He's faced, remember, a lot of criticism for not having done enough to bring the hostages back. He can actually bring back the hostages by doing a deal with Hamas and stopping this war, but he's continued to go on with this war, resulting in catastrophic loss of lives, and now has managed to bring back 4 of these hostages. Is he doing the right thing here?
This is a political escape for Benjamin Netanyahu with the rescue of these 4 hostages by the Israeli military. It's an escape on 2 fronts. First, it's an escape on the domestic front, because today was the day that the War Cabinet member Benny Gantz, one of only 3 members of the War Cabinet, was going to leave because Netanyahu does not have an end game. He does not have a closing point to bring back all of the Israeli hostages. And there are still more than 120, both dead and alive, held by Hamas. And he doesn't have a war plan to lead to a political resolution. You know, who governs Gaza? Will the Israelis have to occupy Gaza? So Gantz was going to leave today. But because of the news of the hostage rescue, Gantz has had to postpone, perhaps indefinitely, that threat to leave the War Cabinet and cause early elections. It's a second escape for Netanyahu because it means he can continue this almost open-ended mass killing in Gaza, saying, oh, well, look, it got a few of our hostages back. Remember that only 2 days ago, as your introduction mentioned, that the Israelis hit this UN school, which was being used as a shelter, and killed at least 40 people. They hit the same area again today, and they killed at least 55 people. But the headlines in Israeli papers will not be about the mass killing of Gazans who continue to die, dozens, scores on a daily basis. It'll be about these hostages. So in other words, Netanyahu has got a bit of breathing space in terms of pressure from within Israel and pressure from others like the United States.
You know, it's interesting that you point out, so this war, it does look like, is essentially something that is being prolonged by Netanyahu only for his own political survival. Otherwise, there's no other objective that he can realistically achieve.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I mean, I think let's start off with why Benjamin Netanyahu needs this war to continue, unless there's an absolute defeat of Hamas. And that is because the day that the war ends, if Hamas is not defeated, his political future is in jeopardy. There will be a demand for elections in Israel. He would be quite likely to lose those elections. He is far behind in opinion polling, behind Benny Gantz. And secondly, he would face legal jeopardy because, of course, remember, Netanyahu faces bribery charges, and that trial could be resumed as soon as the war ends. But meanwhile, you say, what does Netanyahu, achieve, or what would be a possible war aim? Well, there might be a war aim to put in a Palestinian government in Gaza, but Netanyahu does not recognize the Palestinian Authority. So if he doesn't recognize Hamas, he doesn't recognize the Palestinian Authority, what is your political outcome for this war? And the point is, Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't need a political outcome at this point because just keeping the war going is enough to keep him in power.
All right, interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Lucas, for joining us and getting us that perspective then.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.